Hey guys, EJ Masquerade here, just showing you how I made Virgil's mask. First up, I did a layer of black to give it a nice dark aura, so that Virgil had a clear contrast from the others. Virgil is actually my favourite side out of the Sanders sides because of his purple exterior and his anxiety representation. Anxiety is something I've struggled with for a long time, and seeing Thomas explain it and show him for what he is honestly helped me so much. So now you'll have something that looks kind of like the Batman mask. We'll go set that off to dry for a minute while I work on the horns. That's right, I said horns. This Virgil is going to have horns to represent his clear anxiety kind of grows and shrinks throughout the series. This is also kind of to make him look scary and give him that feeling he had in that line in dealing with anxiety. To embody something scary is the best way to keep people on their feet. So I've made them nice and small so that they represent him trying to change, but still having some form of haunting presence to the others. After all, he's anxiety. It won't all go away. Make sure the horns are nice and symmetrical. Make sure they look as close to identical as I can. And compare them to the mask. I then start painting the mask in purple, giving it a really watered down purple at first, and then building it up as it went. After all, Virgil is purple. That is his primary colour, which I love about him because purple is also my favourite colour. Don't judge. If you've seen my room on my TikTok, you know that it is purple with a white tree in the background. Enough about that. Back to the mask. I then got some black clay and coiled it around one of the horns. I liked that one so much that I decided to give it an asymmetrical design and coil the other one around the top of the horn and working its way down. I then added a sort of plateau to the bottom of the clay so that it would be more stable and be able to sit better on the mask. And then did that to the parallel horn. Then after a bit of tweaking and making sure it was all perfectly sitting right and would stay together, I then set them aside to dry and continue with the mask. I then finally added the last layer of purple. I was so happy with how this turned out. The clay was a very last minute adjustment, and I didn't realize I had this purple clay on hand until I was already making the mask. Because the main thing I really wanted to do with Virgil's mask was give him horns, and I couldn't work out how to do it, and since this is my first time working with clay, I didn't want to make them too large and having to have jewelry wire embedded in them. So this was very lucky timing and a very lucky memory that, oh that's right, I have clay in my drawer. Thank goodness that passed me as an impulse buyer. I still am an impulse buyer, but thank goodness it came in handy this time. I considered putting buttons on the mask at one point to sort of replicate the puppet episode, but then decided against it because it didn't work with the aesthetic I was going for. I then let the mask and clay horns dry, and then came back gluing them on with nothing but a straw and some glue I had on hand. But EJ, you might be wondering, why are you using a straw? So I decided instead of using a brush like I normally do, which glues all the strands of the brush together, I just couldn't handle it anymore, so I finally just sucked up some of the glue and then spat it out in a way that makes it sound a lot more gross than it was. It never touched my mouth, I swear. After gluing both horns on, I realized how much glue I had used on the first one and had to go back and wipe away the excess. I hate working with glue. Gets everywhere. After a fair bit of scrubbing and getting rid of as much of the glue as I can, I finally decided to start working with the clay again around the eyes, simulating Virgil's dark eyeshadow, along with also unintentionally making it kind of look like webs, which was not my intention, but I know that a lot of people think that his animal is either a spider, a cat, or something else that I can't quite remember, so this kind of worked out. Decided to add a second layer of strands with the clay to wrap around the horns to hide some of the excess glue and also keep them a bit more in place. And I'm pretty proud of how they turned out. Really gives it this really nice aesthetic. I then decided to add a couple more curls and try to make it look a little less symmetrical, because I don't think Virgil is the one for order and symmetry. So I added one curl on one side and a curl in a separate place on the other. Goodness, he looks like Spider-Man now. Do you think his spidey sense is a lot more agitated than regular old Peter Parker's? I think it would be. He would probably just be constantly worrying, being able to sense every single danger that could possibly happen instead of the ones that are right in front of him. So I wanted to try adding some of the more purple clay, but it just clashed too much and just felt wrong, so I ended up scrapping the idea. What do you guys think? Should I have added more purple? Adding some final touches. A lot of final touches, actually. Then finally reinforce some of the clay with some glue in the back and let that dry. And those final curls that I was talking about, can't forget those. I kept debating whether I should add more curls or something to it, but I didn't want to overshadow the darkness too much or overshadow the purple too much. I think I found the right medium ground. But what do you guys think? Should I have added some more twirls? I then went back after the glue had semi-dried and wiped away some of the excess again, making sure that it wouldn't leave a mark. Don't know about you guys, but whenever I use this glue, it always leaves a white mark no matter what I do, even though I've been told it's not supposed to. So I quickly painted over it just in case. I then set it aside to dry, played Animal Crossing for a bit actually, and waited for it to dry. Here's the final result. And behold my terrible modelling skills. Next up is Logan. Be sure to like and comment. Thanks, guys!